Hi guys, and welcome back to the SN Studio for a tournament informative report. Is that okay to say? I think that's
it sounds about right.
I think that's more or less what we're going to talk about today. So Gibraltar had their first RTT tournament, 16-man RTT tournament, and it was the first one since COVID hit us. So we hadn't had a tournament here in Gibraltar since February, I think it was, probably. So it was very exciting for all of us to actually play an event, and obviously 9th edition has come at the same time, so there hadn't been an event over 9th edition. A lot of players still testing out lists, getting used to the new rules and how 9th edition actually works, because it's very different to 8th. That's something we're going to talk about today as well. So Chris played that event, Nick played that event, and DC played that event. I couldn't make that event, so I was busy with other stuff. So I actually, I was actually quite sad I couldn't play that one. But then again, we did really well. So the SN team did really well. Chris came first place with his Chaos Red Corsairs, which is crazy, and Nick came second place. So
DC came.
DC. That's why he's not here. We don't want him here. So yeah, it was actually quite a good event for SN. 2 guys from 3 in the top 3 is really good. So first of all, we're gonna talk a bit about lists first. So Nick, actually I said I was going to talk a bit about COVID and the event itself.
Yes.
So that was a really not a good experience or weird experience.
It was weird.
It was very weird.
It was
so
good.
everybody had to constantly, like the marshals were constantly giving you like hand gel. There wasn't anybody coming in to actually see the event, which we normally see that a lot. So people coming in to have a look around, and we weren't actually doing that. And then the other thing was masks. Everybody had masks on, and it was hot that day. It was hot.
I was feeling it game 3. Yes.
So it was really weird to actually see. But look, I think we just have to get used to that. And that's how it's going to be for the next
foreseeable future.
Okay. So let's go into lists now. Nick, take us through. We don't want to know the whole list, but like take us through what you built for this event and why you actually built it that way. So as you can see, you played Adeptus Custodes.
So I think everyone knows, if you've watched the channel, that I'm a Harlequins or Custodes player. Those are my 2 armies since I think like beginning of 7th. That's what I've been playing. And now in 8th, I think 9th, they become
very better.
Very good.
And I think it's all down to having command points to spend.
Absolutely, because their survivability really hasn't changed.
No.
I think even Harlequins took a bit of a hit, only being able to maximize for -1.
Yeah.
Because now you pile on the lightning fast to it.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I think too many minuses and pluses were a bit silly, in my opinion. But I think they took a big hit, but they definitely got better with Rising Crescendo and everything. But apart from that, so my list, I took 3 units of normal Custodes units, 1 unit of 5 with 2 Storm Shields, 2 units of 3 with a Storm Shield in each, 2 Shield Captains on jet bikes, 1 with the Auric Aquilus. I also gave him, for every game, the Victor of the Blood Games for 2 CP, and the Captain Commander trait for 1 CP.
So that was something the event actually did. They allowed everybody to just, in the list, just take the 3 relic and the 3 roll-up trait, and you could add any stratagems pre-game strats whilst you were playing the ground. I know that doesn't work like that in most events. On the new small chapter approved book, there's actually it actually tells you that everything has to be now in the list. But for that event, they allowed that to be done. So that was something different.
Exactly. The first one as well, so still working things out, how things are going to run.
So Captain Commander, I could change it in, or there were 3 games, and I changed it pretty much in every game. If I knew I was shooting up the Warlord and he didn't have a secondary like cut off the head, and I was just shooting him up because he wasn't getting any points for him. I was definitely putting the extra 2 wounds on him, so he was 9 wounds, toughness 6. Strength 5, 6 on the charge, rerolling wounds.
A beast.
It was beastly. As well, I gave him the extra double damage as well. He was a beast. He performed magnificently. So essentially, because of 9th edition, the way the missions have changed and the way you place objectives, since it's all fixed, My idea was I needed survivable units, Custodes, troop units do that brilliantly, and I needed the movement maneuverability, so the 2 shield captains really provided that as well. So going through further down the list, I used the 2 Oculus Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the twin Adrathic Destructors and the Dread Spear.
Those are so good.
Yeah, I mean, 4
catches
shots.
a lot of people by surprise. That
Absolutely. The amount of times I had to bring up the battle scribe or the actual profile, the data sheet
to show them.
No, it's actually strength 5 -3, damage 3. Look,
damage 3. It's the damage 3 that catches you by surprise.
Absolutely.
Like it's the best elite killer there probably is.
Absolutely.
One of the best elite killers in the game. Like aggressors, it's like you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Yeah, absolutely. And -3, it's like, well, you have a 6-up save.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Exactly.
May the odds ever be in your favor. So, and then I had a nice big blob of bikes. I had 6 bikes, all with Hurricane Bolters.
Yeah.
And that it did exactly what I wanted it to do. So the way I was playing it, I was normally starting out either in a castle behind terrain. Then I would decide whether, if I had the choice, obviously, to go first or second, which I won every roll of, luckily enough. And that, I think, factored the game a lot, being able to decide whether to play defensively or offensively. I think, like I was saying, in 9th, because of the fixed objectives, it's very important to move out. You can't play really.
You can't play castle. You can play castle if you want.
Oh, absolutely, you can.
Giving up all the primary points.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And now that you've actually mentioned it, terrain is so much better now.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't get blasted off the table. Like I think there was 10. It was a 16-man event, and I think 10 of them were Space Marines or more. Maybe it was even 11.
Yeah, that's what I was going to discuss next. My first game was against Ultramarines.
Okay.
Which was a majority intercessor list with a repulsor,
right?
Yeah, with a repulsor and Invictus Dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
The Invictus Warsuits. Then the second game was against the Salamanders, I believe it was. Salamanders, Minotaurs, but Salamanders.
The best probably tactic in the game at the moment.
And
for Space Marines at least.
Yeah, and I won that one as well. It was 2 Exterminator Executioner repulsors, which are horrible against Custodes. And as well, the third game, I can't really remember what it was.
Third game?
You're on the table next to me, I remember that.
Yeah, who did I play? I can't remember, but it was a Space Marines player again. So I played Space Marines all day, and I pretty much enjoyed it. I think Custodes are very, very good.
You're playing against the best codex there is. Space Marines are the best codex there is.
Yeah.
So playing against them and winning the games is always an extra bonus.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're beating Marines, you're doing something right. For sure. It wasn't. I know you played Iron Hands in the last game.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've gone a bit about his list. Let's talk about his list, and then we can talk about how the game has changed and how building the list has changed. Which that is, I think, the biggest difference now in 8th edition. So take us through what you took.
Okay. I took a battalion and a spearhead, but because of Red Corsairs, I still started with 12 command points.
Okay.
Which was a huge benefit.
Yeah.
So I had 2 Lord Discordants, 2 Helldrakes, Leviathan with Twin Claws, Mauler Fiend, a Venom Crawler, a Forge Fiend, 3 units of troops, 2 Obliterators, and a Sorcerer with Jump Pack.
Yeah. So it's very Demon Engine heavy.
Yeah, I wanted to take all my Demon Engines, except for 1 Helldrake because I didn't want to bring 3.
So you also played against Marines a lot, right?
I played Dark Angels game 1.
Yeah, against the fast-moving, like land speeder heavy, bike heavy list.
Yeah, 2 flyers as well.
Yeah.
Night Lords game 2.
Yeah.
And then Iron Hands game 3.
Game 3, yeah. That was basically the final, more or less, when it was your game. And we have to remember who you played. Black Templars. Black Templars. Yeah, lots of aggressors. No, it was like 10 aggressors.
9 aggressors.
9 aggressors. Some Vindicators in there as well.
2 Vindicators, Land Raider, 9 aggressors, and 3 units of Assault Intercessors.
Okay, cool.
Hellbretch and Grimaldus as well. So it's quite fluffy in a sense.
Yeah, fluffy, but it's hard. That list, I've seen that list in play. That list, it's hard. So Chris, like we were talking about your list or the SN Crew's list before the event, and we were saying like this list isn't going to do very well. Well, we knew the problem is like you know how to play it very well, and you know how to play Red Corsairs very well, but it's a new event. This list in past edition wouldn't have gone into a top 3, wouldn't have gone into a final. No way.
No.
Now, let's talk about why you think it's done well. So it's when you're building a list, if you build a list where you're good against everything, you can't beat this list. Because if you haven't got if he starts killing the anti-armor, suddenly there's another. You go through 2 vehicles, and there's another 5 or 6 to still kill.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't no guns for that, you're in big trouble, right?
Yeah. So the way the list, well, like I said, building, I wanted to just take on my demon engines.
Okay.
End up throwing in the sorcerer and some troops just for extra command points.
Yeah.
And then some psychic defense and warp time. That was my thinking into the list. I was, that'd be fun. Let's go for that.
Yeah.
Then turns out, obviously, Helldrakes can get across the board quick and tie up big shooting units. Lord Discordants can do the same. Leviathan, I can warp time up there if I need to as well.
Okay.
And then I've got all the other demon engines either hold my backline objectives or the middle objectives.
Okay.
So I'm just spread across the board, turn 1.
Yeah.
And
Very,
it's
very
hard to
difficult.
shift it.
Yeah, and you start grabbing objectives, which we'll go into now. So the mission is the game's basically changed to grabbing objectives. It's way more important than actually killing the enemy.
I mean, every edition, you need objectives to win, but I think now even more so the way that things have changed, it's become more of the you can score maximum 15 points this turn, and you can really snowball and really run away with the game by turn 3 or 4. If your opponent really is just castled and just trying to just delete units, as it used to be that you could just delete an army.
Yeah. The thing is, you used to be able to win by tabling.
Absolutely.
But you can't now.
No.
You have to get those points.
And coupled in with how the terrain works now, it's like it's very, very difficult to blast the enemy off the table.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a bit about that. So building lists has changed for me specifically. Before I used to bring the biggest guns I can and the long distance guns I can, and now you really have to think about what units are going to be scoring the secondaries, what units are going to be scoring the middle field, and those objectives there.
And what secondaries you're going to pick.
Yes, exactly. I think it's something very important. I think you have, when you're building lists, you have to be thinking about your secondaries. Obviously, you're building a list and thinking about it the reverse. You're building that list, and everybody's going to get the bring it down advantage.
Yeah, everyone's taking bring it down against me because there's a 23 points maximum you can get out of me.
And there's a maximum of 15. But
there's potential.
But you'll get those 15
for sure.
Yeah, you're in that secondary against Chris if you play it well.
Yeah. The problem is that what I was saying before, if you have a couple of lascans, contemptor lascans, and that's your anti-armor, and those get tagged down or killed, then it's like, okay, I've got 100 bolter shots, but I have to go through toughness 7, 12 wounds, and an invulnerable save as well to take him off. That's what actually happened, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Yeah.
So just Helldrakes fly 30 across the board, tag something. They're holding their objective as well. They can be.
Yeah.
They're scoring me engaging all fronts as well, and they're tough to take down.
It's tough to take down. Yeah, it's like I played you in one of our battle reports. I actually played with Custodes, and you had like Mauler Fiends, which normally rush up the table, just standing in the middle of the table and just capturing objectives, because that's what you want to do. I know you really want to go forward, but then you have to think, no, I'm scoring points, so I can't. So you wouldn't see that in 8th edition. You wouldn't see that. You would want to go and tag and
you need them up there. Exactly, you needed them up there getting their points back before they died.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about resilience, because I think that's something that's very important again in the game. Death Guard, Custodes. Now with the resilience and the objectives, Custodes have become much better. Did you see that in the event?
Yeah. So you've got the small 3-man units. I didn't mention as well that I had a banner, the -1 banner as well. That's why I was starting in a castle, and then because of the speed, I was able to move out. But the 3-man units, you could just plop them somewhere behind terrain on the left side or the right side, depending the position of the objectives, the mission you were playing, and you could just wait, just then move up in that terrain, take the objective, or just move on to the objective and leave them there, because then you've got the bikes pushing up, and I think that's where you need it. You need resilient units, especially like the Custodes, where it's 3 toughness 5, 3 wounds each, moving on
Storm shield to go through if you're firing something else.
Exactly, and 2+ save.
Yeah.
They were sitting on an objective, and then you had the maneuverability and the big targets that were really bringing the opponent's attention, and like you need those units like, hey, look, if you don't kill this unit, they're just gonna really just they're gonna walk through you.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, that was the bikes and the shield captains, and usually I was placing the dreadnoughts in reserve and doing exactly that.
Cool.
So yeah, to answer your question, I definitely noticed the resilience.
Yes. So and yours, apart from the resilience of it being high toughness, high wounds, speed is another thing you really need, right?
Absolutely,
you really need speed, because I've been playing with my Crimson Fists, and I hit really hard, but if I stay further back, or you're playing Ultramarines and you're still castling up, because there was a couple of players playing Ultramarines, if you're castling up and you're slow, suddenly it's turn 3, there's 2 turns to go, because the games are finishing on turn 5, you're not getting that extra 6 or 7 to go, and suddenly it's like, I can't even win now, because the enemy hardly has anything on the table, but he's 30 points ahead of me, and I just haven't got the speed to actually engage and get those points. So that's another big factor, right?
Yep, absolutely, yeah. So, for example, for my secondaries that I was picking, it was engage all fronts.
Yeah.
Depends what it was. Maybe cut off the heads if you had a lot of characters, bring it down if you had a lot of vehicles, and then maybe something like line breaker. Just to get up the boards, get those units up the board, and especially in every quarter, because you have to go to every quarter. The objectives are there. You have to go there. So engage on fronts for me is a no-brainer. But to be able to do that, you need the speed. You need units that can actually get there.
Exact same for me as well. I'm in every table quarter. If I'm not winning this game already.
Board control is so important now. Before, there wasn't board control. Before, Space Marines Tau, they would just clamp in the middle and just shoot it. Shoot it. Now it's like, if you're not getting control of the boards, by turn 2, it's like you can really feel the pressure after that.
Absolutely.
Especially with the terrain rules, a lot of obscuring terrain, or the ruins obscuring if they're more than 5 inches high. So you're not getting line of sight on so much stuff as before. Quickly, let's go through. So you've now been in events. You've both played a lot of 9th edition games. For those viewers at home, if they're building a list now and they're looking forward to their next event, what would you?
So my advice would be, you need resilient units or big blobs of troops. You need troops. You need to have that board control, at least on your side, or mid-table back. If you're not going to be going into the enemy lines, you need mid-table back, regardless if you're Tau, regardless if you're a shooty army or you want to play castle, you need that mid-table control towards your deployments. You need that board control.
Cool.
And then you need the speed perhaps to actually get to the opponents, to lock things down, like Riptides now that you can tag, things like that. You need to really get to the other side, in my opinion. So at least one unit, like for me, was the bikes. You need something to push up to put that pressure on.
Cool. And Chris?
Pretty much same here. Like, my list worked well because my 3 units of troops sat back now my objectives.
Okay.
With everything else charging towards you, you're ignoring them, but they're scoring me points.
Okay.
So doing that, it's like if you got little things that can hold your objectives, but you got big threats pushing in, distraction clan effects all the way sort of thing. It's like, shoot at this big thing that's going to kill you rather than those little things scoring me points.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a massive change is that fly keyword units can't fall back and shoot anymore. That's massive, because before it was like, tag me away.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, I don't want to get tagged because I won't be able to shoot unless you're Ultramarines. And there's
Harlequins.
Or Harlequins, going into Harlequins now. That's why I think that's so good. We've got Tabletop Titans, who just did an event where they did the tournament where they played. Did you see that? They played all the best factions they thought with list. And they did like a mini tournament, and Harlequins won it in the end. I believe it was Harlequins. The finals, I believe, was Harlequins versus Death Guards, which personally I think the top 3 armies now are Harlequins, Custodes, and Death Guards. Apart from obviously the Space Marines, but we're a couple of weeks now for the new Codex, and we just basically need to wait to see what that happens. I think we've gone through most of the stuff. It's been enjoyable to actually hear what you two have to say about the event.
Now we've got to have the true final.
Yes. Now this list versus your list has to happen on the channel.
We both finished on 3 wins, and I think it was 20 points difference in the end.
Something like that. Very tight.
It was less.
Very tight.
but it was
It was
close.
close, yeah.
It was close.
It now has to happen. So I'm sure it will be for you guys to see.
I mean, I'd be worried about fighting so many vehicles because
I thought this list with Custodes, not your list. Your list is much better, and it was tough for me.
Yeah, I mean,
He almost killed the Warlord turn 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very difficult for this list to deal with vehicles. Like I said, I fought repulsors, contemptors, and it's very difficult because you don't have that, okay, 4 las cannon shots, okay, that's a repulsor gone.
Yeah.
For example, thing like to be able to delete. You've got maybe if you get into combat with the bikes, but it's very difficult. It's not.
It's difficult,
It's
but,
very,
but
very
again,
difficult.
it's down to playing the mission. Like
Absolutely,
there was a Raven Guard player who came 4th, wasn't it? The Raven Guard Joseph Yomi came 4th.
Third.
No,
Came
was
third, didn't he?
He came
He came
third,
third.
didn't he? Yeah, he
Raven
came
Guard
third.
went
He came
third.
third. Raven Guard came third. That list had no anti-armor, like no anti-armor, no las cannons, no melters, no fusion, nothing. He just had infantry everywhere, strength 4, strength 5 guns, but he was just playing the mission. There were so many infantry everywhere capturing objectives. He would go for line breaker as a secondary and stuff like that. That he just carried on pointing. He played against tank heavy, dreadnought heavy, but he just ignored them. He was like,
shoot the troops that he can kill, and then ignore the big stuff.
And ignore split stuff, capture objectives, and suddenly it's turn 4. He's 30 points ahead of you, and there's no way to actually capture him. So guys, hope that's given a bit of an insight about the events itself and so a bit of 9th edition and how it's actually evolving. It's still early, but hopefully we'll get to chat about some more.
I'm sure.
9th edition.
I'm sure someone will sit
soon.
down and renew the meta and bring out some meta giants.
I'm sure locally now there's going to be a lot more anti-vehicle stuff. After bringing this.
That was a bit of a shock.
and damage 3 weapons.
So guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.